All right, everybody, welcome back to the Raul Reyes show. I hope everybody's having a wonderful, I guess, warm evening. Hey, I know we haven't been live for a while. We took a break during the summer. We had a whole mess of stuff we had to catch up on, and we've been doing that. I'm imagine everybody here is doing the same thing. Kids are back. The kids are back to school. So that's terrific. Traffic in and around San Antonio is a complete mess, as I'm sure it is up in Dallas and Houston and everywhere else. So welcome back to the normal life. Again, I'm Raul Reyes. I'm your host for tonight. We're going to have some guests tonight here. And there's a lot of different reasons for why we're back on the air. Uh, I mean, have you seen what's going on with the impeachment of Ken Paxton? And let me show you this picture here real quick. All right, so here's Ken Paxton with Donald Trump, and everybody's seen what's happened with Donald Trump. You know, unfortunately, we got a great mugshot here of the Donald, and this kind of tells us where we're at with a whole lot of things in politics. And that's what we're going to do tonight. We're going to try to, within the hour, have a conversation about why it's time for us to start getting engaged. For anybody who proudly calls themselves still a Republican, and oh, by the way, we're wearing a cap here today because it's been about 10 months since I've cut my hair. So if I take this out, I'll get this, Mexican Afro looking thing. And but anyway, just a little side note. I'm gonna try to have a conversation with you as opposed to, just talking into the mic. But let's go back here real quick. So here you have Donald Trump, and he's literally there's five different places that he's been indicted. The question I have is, where are our attorney generals going after Joe Biden? Hell, where is Kevin McCarthy? And what you ought to ask yourself is, where are your Republican representatives right now? And then, of course, if you're looking at the Texas state legislature, 60 Republicans joined Democrats to impeach none other than Ken Paxton right here. So if you're drawing parallels, you should, because it looks like what I said about 3 or 4 years ago is very true. There is a civil war, I said about 3 years ago when I ran for Congress, and I'm going to make this a lot about me and a whole lot of the events that I've been through, because it comes to the forefront of where we are now. And that is, a guy like me, total greenhorn, got into politics because we wanted to make a change. I thought, great, they're going to love the retired lieutenant colonel guy from the border, successful business guy. And because I'm not a puppet, and a lot of the candidates, by the way, this applies to, and we're going to have great friend Frank Lopez here, Bianca Gracia, who I hope will join us. We've got Alex out of Amarillo. Alex de Anda has his own conservative podcast as well. They're going to join us. These are all wonderful people, and there's many, many more like me that saw Donald Trump and then jumped in to try to make a change, only to realize that the elitist Republican electeds, they don't want people. They don't want real people. You see, they want puppets. And so what has happened now? They literally indicted this guy here, a former president. They've indicted him, and there's nobody doing a damn thing. And here's the thing: impeachment is going to happen of Joe Biden during a very critical time when we have to renegotiate the budget. Do you think that was purposeful? Of course it is, because guess what? McCarthy's going to roll over and give Joe Biden whatever he needs, which means more money to Ukraine. The border, by the way, is still very much a mess. We have a problem down here in the southern district of Texas. And yeah, that district is represented by no other than, I don't even call him a rhino anymore. It's just El Vendido Tony Gonzalez. And just a couple of things here. We're going to probably speak Spanglish here because we need to be talking to all the folks that live in the barrios, all my friends up in Houston, not necessarily in the barrios, but all this Dallas, Fort Worth, Amarillo, West Texas. You need to start sharing these videos because here's how we're going to win elections. Because if you still believe they're fair, then we need to start looking at what happened in 2020, 2022, and the possibility that they're going to run the same playbook they did with masking and COVID in 2024. We're also preoccupied with what's happening to Trump and Ken Paxton, that right underneath our nose, the rules are being reapplied. And guess what? In 2024, you could still see Joe Biden. I don't know about Kamala Harris. I don't even think the Democrats want her. And she's that bad, folks. But you see Gavin Newsom, he's lining up back there somewhere. And oh, by the way, here in Texas, as they impeach Ken Paxton, George P. Bush has redone his license so that he's eligible to run for the attorney general position. I mean, the fiasco you see in Austin, folks, right now is not just Democrats. This is Republicans doing this to Republicans. And here's the truth. What we're really seeing is Republicans that are probably Democrats or bought off puppets. Either one, both are no good because they don't represent you anymore. Let me give you a perfect example of that. Yesterday, I was at my county tax assessor protesting the taxes because they upped my house by thousands of dollars. And guess what? Unless you walk in there with proof that it shouldn't look like that, your taxes are going to go up. Now, for everybody who's living on Social Security and even one pension, you're still not going to be able to pay the taxes on your houses. Now, why am I saying that? Because instead of solving that, we had 60 Republicans at the Texas legislature go after the one guy who's actually putting up a fight against Joe Biden. For everybody who's going to comment saying, oh, but he's morally unethical, give me a break. Did you know that drunk Dade, oh, did I say it backwards? Dade Phelan got drunk right there when he was holding the gavel. And it turns out everybody at the Texas legislature is having an orgy or having great parties on our dime. Let me rephrase that. Not everybody. We've got some really good folks doing really good work. But the bulk of what happens in Austin is not to representative. They've already got a plan about what they're going to do with taxes and the border. They did absolutely nothing about the border. Operation Lone Star is still costing us billions of dollars, and nothing is stopping the invasion. Okay, so there's the rant. Now, what are we going to do? So I'm going to bring on some guests, and we're going to have a conversation about everything. But toward the end and starting right now, what I'm going to tell you is this. Look, we're reaching out to all of Texas. We're going to start our own following, our own movement. And as Bianca Gracia would say, our own movimiento, because it's time. There's a lot of you sitting on your asses out there in every part of Texas. Actually, you've given up. You've actually just given up. But here's what I'm going to tell you. You can't. Your grandkids, your children demand that you do something in this next election. And oh, by the way, I'm not telling you to go to the Republican Women's Group. I'm not telling you to go to the Republican Party of Texas county chair. Although if you do that, good for you. But it turns out that we're just going to have to create our own movement of people that have decided that they've had enough of this crap. So this podcast starts it. We're going to have some guests and we're going to talk all kinds of things. But as we move forward, you can expect for Raul Reyes to lead the way with a lot of our good friends that are going to do one thing. We're going to start to get you out of your seats to do something about what happens in 2024. Because here's what happens. This is my prediction, and you can mark it down. And anybody who calls me or text messages me or comments on my thing that all of a sudden I hate Republicans, let me tell you something. The Republican Party is having a major implosion, and it's right there in front of our faces in Austin. Everybody, that whole, by the way, if you haven't seen what's going on, I don't know who this Tony Busby is. I think that's his name, the lawyer for Ken Paxton. Absolutely destroyed the two key witnesses. I'm not even sure why we're having a trial. These guys went around and behind Ken Paxton's back because they thought he was doing something when really he was doing something else. That's just what it looks like right now. And oh, by the way, my own senator, Pete Flores, is sitting there, SD24. By the way, we're broadcasting to SD24 as well. Share this out, or else nobody's going to see it. You got to do that. You got to at least do that. Hit the buttons, do whatever you need to do, but make sure that it's all good. What I'm saying here is, if you look at the circus that is happening right now in Austin, they're not fixing your taxes. They didn't do that. They're not fixing the border. They didn't bother to do that at all. Okay. And there's all kinds of things that are not supposed to happen. And they're all right there in front of our face. Guess where else that's happening as well? Right there with Donald Trump. That's why you have the mugshot. First time in history, you have a mugshot of a former president. If we should have indicted anybody, would have been Barack Obama. We should indict Joe Biden right now. Hell, Bill Clinton's got a little skeletons in his closet, but instead we decided to go after the two main guys that could change the way things work out as we move forward. Last comment, and I'm going to bring Frank in here real quick. If you look at me, and my last name is Reyes, this is the one thing I'm not going to allow anymore. Because I'm not an identity politics guy, but we're going to start talking Hispanic and Latino things. The one thing I'm seeing is, as we roll through the impeachment process here, they're going to start to try and get all these different groups of people to go back to the Republican Party. We're not going to let anybody forget. For about 2 years, I could see Hispanics in South Texas and across the U.S. moving toward the Republican Party because it was the Trump Republican Party. Today, you can see that his very own selections, McCarthy, Ronna McDaniels, Mitch McConnell, by the way, who seems to, for whatever reason, just like Joe Biden, not have a clue where they're at, and they vape out. These people don't want Donald Trump. They don't want anybody that's going to try to take their gravy away, so to speak. And so here we are, right? We're the little people trying to make changes, and they keep telling us, oh, keep it red. Oh, you got to keep Texas red. Oh, I know you hate John Cornyn, but he's our son of a bitch. Oh, I said it. Don't care. I no longer care, by the way. What I'm going to do is talk bluntly to you because I've had enough of the, not just the gaslighting of all of America, but down here in South Texas, to pretend that I'm for pro-amnesty is a bunch of bullcrap. I caught myself. So, no mas. But that said, I'm going to call every one of my homies in the barrio in San Felipe. Aldo, I'm talking to you. I'm not going to name last names. Gavino, I know you're watching. We're going to change some things in Del Rio. We're going to change some things in Eagle Pass. We're going to change some things in Uvalde. We're going to work our way west, and then we're going to work our way back east. We've got a lot of friends in Houston. Alex, who's from Amarillo, is doing a lot of great work. But here's the thing. And by the way, men and women, but you're going to hear me say this more often. We need the men of this great state of Texas to stand up and get off the couches and do something. Let me make this final point. Wonderful people. The Republican Women's Group are doing their thing. Tara Pesh, who's fighting the library and porn up in Kerrville and I think it's Gillespie County up there. Julie McCarthy from True Texas Project. These are, guess what the common denominator is here? Women. And as a man, we need to, I'm going to call out the men. We need Christian men to step up and go do what we're supposed to do in the political arena. If it is only one thing I'm asking for, share this podcast and tell people, sign up and give me one opportunity to point at a few people where you silently go vote March the 2024 election, and you press the button for the people that we tell you to. If you listen to anybody else, they're going to gaslight you and convince you that Tony Gonzalez is still the guy when he's not. Michael McCall up there north, the one who's fighting to get more money for Ukraine, that guy's got to go. Andrew Murr right here in our district in Medina County, he's got to go. By the way, if you didn't know, this dude right here is running against Andrew Murr. The guy with the mustache, he has got to go. This dude right here, what an insult to just go do whatever the hell he wants. We can't allow that to happen anymore. So, all right. I'm 15 after the 8 o'clock hour. Listen to me what I'm going to say closely. I'm going to rant. I'm going to push. I'm going to curse a little bit. But I'm going to tell you right now, Christian men better get your asses off the couch because we're losing this country. We're losing Texas, and you're seeing it right there in Austin as they fight to impeach the one guy who's not morally perfect. I'm not saying he did anything right about that. What I'm saying is, why would our own Republicans knife down the only guy that is taking on the federal government? Greg Abbott isn't doing anything. Dan Patrick has got a real big problem because half of his senators get money from Texas lawsuit reform. Senator Peter Flores, who I ran against, got $1.2 million. Now, that may be in the totality of the last 4 or 5 years, but that's a lot of money, folks. And do you not think that he's got to consider which way he's going to vote? Every one of those senators who said, yeah, let's go ahead and proceed with the impeachment process, pretty much gave us the understanding that they're bought off or they really want to see what's going on. But the first 2 days, Republicans should be in close quarters saying, enough of this crap. Half of the witnesses look like they're lying. It looks like a coup. It really does. And I don't care what you think about Ken Paxton morally. You want to throw stones in glass houses, you go ahead. Me, I'm just telling you, we need men like Trump, like Ken Paxton, like Frank Lopez, like anybody else who's willing to get in and fight. So, Christian men, that's it. You're being called out by me and hopefully a lot of my friends that are working across Texas. We need contacts in places like Monahans and Pecos in San Antonio. You want to join us, you give us a holler. Leave me a private message on any of the Facebook. By the way, we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, and we're on YouTube. You cannot possibly miss us. We're going to get on Rumble and Instagram, although I've got Ms. Linda Ruski back here, who is the technician on all this, trying to help us get up there. Yep, I called you out. So, all that said, let me bring on my good friend, Frank Lopez. Hopefully, we'll get Bianca Gracia out here. I don't see her floating around just yet, but we will. Okay, without any further ado, Francisco Lopez, the U.S. Border Patriot. Hey, sir, how are you today? Oh, I got you on mute. I can't hear you there. All right, let's see if we can fix the unmute button. Can you hear me now? Huh. All right, let me put you back there. Try your mic one more time there, Frank. I can't hear you. Oh, let's see. All right, we're gonna put Frank away for a little bit here, real quick. All right, so Frank's got a little couple of mic issues. It might be on my end. I don't think so, but we'll figure it out. So the good news is he can hear me, which means all of you can hear me as well. So, and then maybe we'll try here again in 2 seconds here. But yeah, look, folks. Earlier, Frank was out there doing a podcast, and I asked him to come on board. He's been out working hard on the border trying to expose things. And always, as always, if you look for any of the other folks that are doing the same thing, Anthony Aguero's been out, I think, all the way as far as New Mexico, trying to show us all the videos of the illegal aliens that are still coming into our country. And so guess what? We've got to stand up in the gap. We've got to do something. Something has got to happen. Let me show you this picture right here. This is the key witness right here. Jeff Mateer here. This is the key witness, the guy that started the whole, Ken Paxton is a bad guy. And the lawyers for Ken Paxton made this guy look exactly like he looks like right there, just like a total fool. And why do I say that? Because if you're listening, and I try to, it's an all-day event. When the defense is up there with like a Tony Busby, I mean, it's a total show. You can actually see that they've done their homework. When the Murr and Dade Phelan, lawyers get up, it turns into this just doldrum. And so again, if you're watching the impeachments of Ken Paxton, you're going to see real quick that it's a whole sham, and they're trying to get rid of the one guy we need to actually fight the Joe Biden regime. Let me see if we can get Frank here one more time. Frank, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
All right, there we go. We're back on board. Frank, how are you? I hope things are going well wherever you are.
Yeah, good. I just happened to be in the Bronzeville area for a little while today, so I just wanted to show folks a different aspect of what's going on and just the sheer enormity. That's just one little piece. That former Walmart center, it was full to the gills, man.
Yeah, the whole place around here is pretty crowded. Frank, have you been watching the impeachment process here at all? Tidbits where you can, or the highlights at least?
Look, a little bit, but I'll be honest with you. that impeachment's going on against a very effective guy by sold out globalist Republicans, bro, plain and simple.
Yeah.
And at this point, we got to come to. I was listening to your presentation here earlier.
My rant. It was my rant.
It's your monologue there, brother. But look, it is two sides to a coin, and it's a globalist establishment, uh, you know, unit party. And so what they're doing is trying to destroy a guy. You see the pattern, man. You come out against the globalists. You come
Yeah.
out against the human traffickers and the communists, and they're gonna activate their tentacles. And in this case, brother, just much like they did against Trump, they're doing against Trump. That's what they're trying to do against Paxton. And let's not lose the fact here, también, Raul, that there are people that are disappeared into jail, J6 people, and,
Yep.
and, and others that are telling the truth, not just January 6 people, brother, but people who are exposing and whistleblowing that are going and getting lost in our quote unquote American criminal justice system.
Yeah.
Eh, Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this, Frank. And well, I know it's the globalist aspect of this, but we've got the Texas lawsuit reforms that looks to be behind the impeachment of Ken Paxton.
Yeah.
That's the weekly brothers, large developer types. Is it the I guess cheap labor, and then here lately, you and I have seen there's that big colonias that's being built just north of Houston in Liberty County, and Sheena Rodriguez. We want to thank her. If you're not following her as well, she put out a video about what the colonias look like, and what that is just I don't know, something like a 200-acre plus. I may be undersizing it, but this is allegedly where they're going to put a bunch of these illegal aliens to live. Have you seen that?
Yeah. I've been watching part of that, and look, even though I've been a little bit on the quiet side on Facebook, I've still been doing a lot of stuff, and social media behind the scenes, bro. I mean, definitely keeping my eye on things and assessing, analyzing stuff that's going on, and it's the same old. But what we have to do, and it's what you were talking about earlier, we need to just realize that they are strangling our nation to death, bro. And I use this analogy. You heard it before. The Saving Private Ryan, the two guys fighting upstairs, a German trying to kill the
Yeah.
American, and that German cowering in the stairwell and not doing anything and he allows him to go kill his fellow American soldier. When what we needed was a guy that was willing to go in, bash a door in, and shove a knife in the back of that dude's head or blow his brains out. We need people that are willing to go fight and realize that there are evil forces, communism, ideologies, the wokeism that is trying to destroy our children's brains and their innocent little hearts, and just evil in this land, brother. And we need people to finally stand up and fight. And let me ask you a question. Oh, you were talking about the elements within the Republican Party, and I said it. I've been the Republican Party, because of the platform, is a natural home for conservatives or America First, patriots, because of the platform. But the platform does not mean anything to this elitist. It might as well be toilet paper. And, and
Yeah.
so and so that's why I fought against Tony Gonzalez after you took him on, because he is a direct threat to our country. And he is a direct threat to our way of life and our children's future. And so, but let me ask you this question. Everybody's mad at the impeachers, Paxton's impeachers. Everybody's mad at Murr and Tony
Yeah.
Gonzalez and
Yeah.
Court. But let me ask you this. What are Republicans going to do the day after primary elections are over, and when
Yeah.
they realize that the PAC stepped up with big money, that the lobbyists and the stepped up with big money, that the candidate incumbents themselves had big war chests, and,
Yeah.
and they managed to win, and not just because of that element. The other element, Raul, is because what has been done about securing our elections. You and I and millions of Americans know that they have manipulated the election results. And what has been done about that other than lip service?
Nada, absolutely nothing. Let me tell you, I'm going to predict. I'm going to answer that question. I think I just totally missed the opportunity during the monologue, but I'm going to tell you right now. After this impeachment hearing is over, folks, mark my words, they're going to get back. You know this, Frank. Oh, keep it red and do this, and somebody. I'm probably going to get this quote wrong, but it said, voters have the attention span of a goldfish, and I don't know where that came from. I just somebody told it to me. I guess that means that people are going to forget by the time we round the corner to March 24. That's a possibility, right? And it tends to happen that way. What I'm hearing you ask is, so they're going to come in with a lot of money and try to glaze all the stuff they did, where they didn't fix the taxes, they didn't fix the border, they haven't fixed a damn thing. They impeached one of the strongest Republicans going against the Biden regime, and then a guy like Briscoe King, which, by the way, is not personal. I really like the guy in the beginning, but he's one of the ones leading the impeachment. So this guy will have a lot of money to, no kidding, get past the primary. So he'll be on the November election, and you know this. I absolutely do not like people telling me keep it red, because I've learned that, do you keep it red with Andrew Murr, with Dade Phelan? So that's a good question for those counties, right? Because if Andrew Murr and Dade Phelan are still the representative primary elects when the primary is over, are they going to vote for them? Here's what I think is going to happen. If it goes that way, Texas goes blue in the House in 2024. By the way, and this is why, because people are so pissed off at the Republicans. If it's the same guy in November, I don't think he gets through. I mean, that, or guess what? It's already rigged, and there's nothing we can do about it. Now, we can go down that road. My point being here is the base absolutely has woken up. See, I thought it happened, Frank, like 2 years ago. No, I'm with you. I'm with you because there's a whole lot of people busy just trying to stay afloat with high gas prices, high grocery bills, and yeah, and this isn't one of the things that they're looking at. So this is how the elites get by, because they do this, and then they throw a lot of money in the primaries. A perfect example, and you mentioned his name, Tony Gonzalez. As soon as he got censured, I don't know what, 5-6 months ago, the RNC came to his rescue and said, "Listen, we're going to make sure he has all the support to win the primary again." So I think we're at a saturated point with the voter. I could be wrong. I thought it was the same way in 22, but in 24, does it happen? I think we're at a point where it's going to go blue, because they're just not listening to the Republican base. And here's my other, I don't even think it's a theory. Democrats have figured out how to run in Republican elections and win. They lie. They lie about who they really are. We believe them. And you get a guy like Tony Gonzalez, you get a guy like Andrew Murr and Dade Phelan. So the good news here is I see a lot of movement moving forward toward and against that. This is why my rant in the beginning, by the way, folks, I'm not even going to call them monologues. They're just going to be the beginning rants, because I'm so pissed off at the world right now. I really am. But here's what I think, Frank, is, I've said it from the beginning. We don't have enough money to counter their money. What we do have is a lot of connections into the barrios, into the neighborhoods, into all kinds of places. And this is why I'm calling out everybody, saying, you got to start getting on board with groups like the Reyes crowd, because what happens is, and the Lopez crowd, and Alex de Anda out in Amarillo, together they cannot overcome the vote. And sure, you can only print out so many ballots before it looks like you skewed it. So that's the work we're doing here, folks. We're going to keep pushing that. But Frank, and we're going to bring Alex on here in a minute. But what does it look like for the future for you? Do you want to talk about that a little bit? What are your plans? I mean, I know you said you went silent, and you needed a little time after the primary to just kind of exhale and breathe. We get that. I mean, I've had to do that as well. What now? I mean, what do you see? What's the next move for the U.S. Border Patriot?
So a lot of stuff in there, brother. Look, yeah, and it was after the general election. 41,000 votes, boom, disappeared like that. 36,000 votes disappeared like that election night. By the time you count it, probably 45, 50,000 votes disappeared. if not more.
And Frank, let me put that in context for folks. So, what Frank's talking about is on election night, it looked like a three-way tie between John Lida, Tony Gonzalez, and Frank Lopez. When you look at the numbers, it was 30 and 30 and 40 or something like that. And Frank and John Lida, the Democrat, and of course Frank the on the independent side, were really holding on tight. And now go, Frank. What happens there?
Yeah, so the votes get stolen, bro, and people saw it. I mean, it's part of presentations that's going out throughout the state of Texas, and people know that they see it with with Kerry Lake, they saw it with Trump, they saw it with other people in the state and across the nation. So yeah, it took some time to assess all that and then looking at the situation and to kind of finish that question, rhetorical question I started out with earlier. What's going to happen, honestly, and man, I hope people prove me wrong. But the day after March election, when all these nasty, impeachment pushing Republicans win, and I hope as many of them lose as possible. But I think it's not going to be quite the turnover that people are hoping for, unless people really get engaged and really get amped up and really get out in the streets. But it's so difficult to do that. Look, Raul, there is an active invasion going on in our country of our
Yep.
border. And what are people doing about it? They're
Nada.
angry, frustrated. When you look at New York City, those people are rising up. When you look at other countries, like in England out there, where there were supposed to be 500 illegal aliens, migrants, whatever, going to their community, they got together and they said, no, we don't want this to take place. And so out here at the border, I just I hope I'm proven wrong. I hope that people get riled up and they vote these people out. But right now, as I've been assessing CD23 particular, look, man, I just got to say it. The way it looks right now with the current field of candidates, Tony's on his way to a third term, Raul. And
You think so? You really think so?
yep, with the current field of candidates, I do, bro. I really think so because look,
What's the biggest concern you have with the current candidates? I just want to just briefly, because we want to bring Alex on. But what's the one thing? Are you just not seeing enough? What is it that you're?
yeah, look, when you and I ran, brother, we were everywhere,
Yep.
everywhere on the ground, meeting people, town halls, left and right, and it wasn't just with the established entities, the parties, and the clubs and the social country club groups or anything like that. It was out in the street, meeting people face to face, parades and events, going out, knocking on doors. I'm not seeing that. And the other thing, Raul, is look, we are in a fight, and you need that mentality, that warrior mentality. And people are afraid to take on Gonzalez, and people are afraid to call him out for what he is. He is a child trafficking enabler. He
Yeah.
is he is a person who is allowing in this district socialists to get bigger footholds. Tony Gonzalez is allowing little girls and little boys to fall into the clutches of the cartels and get raped and get mistreated and murdered, etc. Little girls are having abortions because they're being impregnated. And this is happening because Tony Gonzalez has enabled this, and he has not fought back. You and I know him like nobody else knows him.
Yeah, they've been on vacation for 6 weeks, and I don't think I've seen him anywhere. I've seen Chip Roy working his butt off, talking to people, but you're right. I don't see him. Look, here's what I think. He's been censured. I think we need a couple more good candidates, and you get him under 50%, and he's done. I think someone like you and myself, and I'm not saying I'm doing it. Although, let Frank know. I mean, because I know you're doing an exploratory of sorts, so you guys have got to say something to get guys like Frank to just get convinced that he's got to do it again on the Republican side. But no, I'm with you. I used to reserve the thought that I would blame Tony for everything on the border, but the answer is it is his fault. You represented us. You went there. You got in bed with the NGOs. And you're responsible for everything that's happening here. By the way, Frank Lopez is the guy that exposed him for having his office at the Office of Endeavors, where it's a major NGO. So all that said, I want to bring you back later because we definitely want to talk a little bit more about CD23. But if you want to stay on, let me get Alex here. Let me introduce folks. We're trying to get across the state of Texas with people that are trying to move within their communities, other people, so that they can affect elections. Again, I'll call out to folks like in Del Rio, and I don't know if I forgot, but Gavino is a good friend who's out in Del Rio as well, who's helping to move folks in that area to coalesce people in different cities. We need contacts. So I'm telling you one more time, you gotta let us know you're willing to. It's not volunteer. I just need you to let me know you're interested in moving with the Christian men in Texas, to do something about the 2024 election. That said, let me bring to you, Alex is a wonderful man that he does podcasts, and Christ is at the forefront, like Frank's and mine, on everything he does. So without further ado, Alex de Anda out of Amarillo, Texas. Alex, how are you, sir? Oh, I got you on mute too. Let me see what happened here. I can't hear you, Alex. So see if you can mess with it a little bit. We'll bring him on here one more time. What about now? Can you hear us? Yeah, I got you muted. So we'll let him keep working on that while we talk to Frank. Alex, as you can see, is Alex conservative. Nope. Can you hear me?
Let me know when you can hear me, I guess.
There you go. We got you now. Go ahead. Can you hear us, Alex?
Anything there?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Great. Hey, listen, guys. Everything you guys are saying, I'm 100% in agreement. I think that where we need to be restored is in the Holy Word of God. We need to get back into what Exodus 18:21 speaks on, where I'm paraphrasing, of course, but where it speaks on how you elect officials. They have to hate covetousness, and they have to fear the Lord. And I don't see any of that anymore. And so what I'm thinking is happening is you see a lot of these candidates try to rise up in the primaries, but I see it's just fundraising purposes for the GOP.
Yeah.
And these are candidates that are prostituting themselves for fundraising. And it's really sickening, when you go to certain meetings and you hear people that are supposed to be true Republicans, true conservatives speaking on, we got to back the person who has the most validity, the most chance to win. Well, I'm thinking, well, why don't we get behind the person that's the most conservative, the most, the best candidate fits our values. And I don't see that anymore. It's all the money game anymore. And it's infecting the whole process. You see a lot of good candidates that don't want to fork out $60,000 just for lose it all, because the GOP gets behind certain factions of ideals and ideologues just because simply they want to keep it red, or they have an R in front of their name. And as we find out with Tony Gonzalez, they fixtures, and the lobbyists just keep on producing more and more money for the party, and it's hard to get them out once they get some footing.
Yeah, Alex, real quick, Alex, I do have a question, because I did say I'm going to dive into this, and I really don't care what anybody thinks about the identity politics piece, but we have to start having this conversation out in Amarillo. What are Hispanics traditionally doing, and are they looking at someone like Mayra Flores way down south, who's running, as a Republican again? Remember, she won her congressional race, and then she lost after the redistricting. You and I have had a conversation about how I think Myra's the wrong conservative. You can't be pro-amnesty and be a Republican, in my opinion. And then now, so the question is, Amarillo, are you seeing? Were Hispanics ever really coming to the Republican Party? Is that still happening, or it never happened? And or they're just, as I see it down in this area, they're really not voted in the primaries, really?
Well, they're still a little gun shy because they, as Latinos, we really we're vested in our values to the core. And one thing I can't stand is when I hear one in the GOP around here say, "You're naturally conservative, don't you?" Thinking, I already know that. I've done that since I was 4 years old, and so you don't need you to tell
Frank
me. I've
shaking
been
his
told to
head.
go out. Yeah, I've been told to go out to certain parts of town because they're Hispanic to be the face, and I'm thinking, well, why don't you go out there? That's the problem. That's the disconnect. And
Yeah,
so we have found in
yeah,
certain campaigns when I was helping a gentleman run for commissioner, when we went out onto the east side, that a lot of folks are Easter egg Republicans. I was really, really pleasantly surprised to find out that some of them would ask me, which party does he belong to? And when I thought that was going to be
yeah. Define, Alex. Define Easter egg for the crowd. Just what do you mean by that?
well, you don't, there was a lot of hidden jewels in the east side of Amarillo that were strong Republican folks,
Yeah,
and for so many years, it's kind of a shame that, the GOP doesn't touch that area. When they see someone like me come along, they say, "Hey, go out there and well, geez Louise, let's all go together." The
yeah,
lighthouse reaches everybody. It's not a laser beam. It's a it's a lighthouse.
yeah,
And so we have a lot of strong conservative Latinos in this area, but I think that the connect in what's in our veins, we really do some due diligence on folks, and we can find out. We see when people are being fraudulent and when they're being fake, and so that's a turnoff. And so a lot of times you don't see a lot of Latinos here getting going to certain events for that very reason. They feel like, well, these guys, they're going to be the face, they're going to stand at the forefront, but I don't play that that stuff. You know what I mean? And so they don't.
yeah.
You don't see.
I saw this. I saw this video. Black gentleman,
Mhm.
and he got a thrashing from the Twitter world because he said that Black America is never going to vote Republican, not the way that Republicans want them. And I
Mhm.
thought about it, and I think, and the answer for him was, and you can draw parallels to the Latino community. The Republican Party, even though the planks, and Frank can jump in anytime you want here, are very conservative, very Christian, but as you say, Alex, we always assess the person and realize they're not the real deal. In fact, 60 Republicans in the last 2 months have proven that, right? Because they're impeaching one of the strongest
Mhm.
Republicans we have. And look at what's happening to Donald Trump. So, and then you get guys like Michael McCall and Andrew Murray. I mean, you can name the list. And I guess what I'm saying is, if I were to step out and say Latinos are never going to vote Republican, it isn't because they don't believe in the Republican planks. One, they don't even know the planks because GOP, Republican Party, it doesn't matter. They don't know how to talk to this culture, very much like they don't know how to talk to the Black culture. And by the way, you can say that even about white America. So there's a whole lot of folks that don't vote in the primaries. Is the point here too. And so um, when we look at Latinos, Alex, I guess what I'm asking is, I mean, we're in trouble here because if you look, and that was my rant in the beginning, any opportunity to bring over the Latino vote has disappeared, in my opinion. You cannot have Republicans infighting with other, not moral. What I'm saying is solid,
Mhm.
beating up on Joe Biden, the federal government Republicans like Ken Paxton, and then believe that Latino community is going to believe anything you say in March 24. Or if you can get your primary voters through, they're just not going to vote in November, and we just went blue in November. Frank, give me your thoughts there.
Yeah. So look, man. I mean, as you're saying, I'm thinking, and Alex said it. We're looking at this stuff, and you can see fakeness, bro. And the Democrats have been good at race mongering and playing the black Americans and Hispanics, bro. That's what they do. But what we're seeing is that the Republican Party is doing the same thing, and part of it is by affiliating with people like the Libre Initiative,
Yeah.
like the Republican National Hispanic
Yeah.
Association, like the Hispanic Republicans of Texas, like the Texas Latino Conservative PAC. These
Yeah.
people, brother, these people are they're the Koch brothers. They are the Chamber of Commerce. Amnesty is okay Hispanic crowd, and the majority of Hispanics, I forget who authored the poll, but a majority of Hispanics want tough immigration, and they are against immigration enforcement, and they are against amnesty.
Yeah.
Que se pongan en línea is what I hear. Que no
Yeah.
brinquen la línea. Get in line, don't jump to the line. And so, look, at a time when illegal aliens are getting our money, bro, 1,200 per person. So that's I heard it. 24 for a parent and a child. A couple gets $4,800. That's a lot of money that is being given to these people. And right now, we have people in Maui, and we have people across this country that are hurting, bro. And we're shipping our money over to the Ukraine, and we all know that that's money laundering. And we have Republicans involved with that. Republicans pushing for that. And so down here, I'm in the Rio Grande Valley. I was down in Brownsville earlier, bro. And the people down here, it's about God, it's about family, it's about loyalty, and they are waking up. But there is also this vast propaganda, indoctrination, conditioning that has been going on for a long, long time. And down here, they're pushing this Hispanic crowd, this largely Hispanic region of Texas. They're pushing them towards globalism. And so we have Republican groups that are actively involved in that by not calling them out, by not saying that Myra Flores is pro amnesty, by not saying that, that Adrian Pena over here, who is in charge of the Hidalgo County Republican Party, is involved with that. By not saying that people that like Victor Avila are hanging out with the Libre Initiative. Those Libre Initiative people are involved, funded by the Koch brothers, and they are the ones that are pushing illegal immigration into this country. They're the ones that are pushing
Yeah.
amnesty. They are the cheap labor part of the Republican Party, and we cannot be schizophrenic, bro. We cannot be lukewarm.
Yeah.
We have to make a decision and go with that decision. And so Hispanics don't want to get used. They see how the Democratic Party uses people, and many are seeing Republicans doing the same thing. The Republican Party, that same tendency. They're not serious when they're playing around with LULAC and with all these other open borders groups like the ones that I just named, and there's others. Bienvenidos is another one. We
Yeah,
need.
that's the former Betty Cardenas crowd, and she used to be the part of the RNHA. For folks who don't know this, when Trump was running, the short version is that they brought on a lady named Betty Cardenas, and they created she was running at the RNHA, and they created this Bienvenidos group, and then off of that came a bunch of different groups, but they went after groups like Alex's group, and Alex, remind me of the guy that was out in Midland. Remember he Burola, right? Burola, is that what? Remember, he was out in Midland as well.
Yeah.
He had the original, I think, Texit for Tejanos exiting the Democrat Party, and then of course the Latinos for Trump with Bianca Gracia. I mean, and then you go to Lexit, which is Jesse Holguin, who is out in L.A. and in Miami, and they try to get all these groups in, and the groups finally realized that they were just being used for just to get people elected, because these groups were really pro amnesty, and so here we are now, and this is my goal here, guys, is that we're going to bring in. Look, we welcome everybody into this movement, but it is time to wake up Latinos and say, look, you can't vote Democrat, but how do I tell folks go vote Republican? when the elitist Republicans are knifing down folks like Alex and Frank and myself. And so the numbers have to be bigger. Alex, back in Amarillo, what is your biggest race right now? I mean, what is your biggest endeavor as conservatives of Texas? Because that's your group out there. What is your biggest endeavor right now? Well, you're muted again.
Is that better?
Yeah, there you go.
Hey guys, I'm gonna have to run, but it's been good speaking with you, man. But I'm gonna have to get out of here.
Okay, all right, Frank. We'll let you go here, Frank. Go ahead.
Good seeing you, Frank.
Yeah, thanks, Frank.
Yeah, Alex, we'll be talking again, guys.
Yes, sir. Well,
right.
we have a couple of things that we're working on as conservatives of Texas here in the Panhandle. We just had a new slate of city council and a great Christian man that's our new mayor. And so what we're working on is getting connected with local pastors on different parts of town so we can start to coalesce the true push for what this republic was founded on, what this nation was founded on, was Judeo-Christian values. And so we believe that if we can develop an apparatus to help these gentlemen, things will stick a lot longer. And then also we have an event that's coming up in November, and what we're working on is a gentleman by the name of Dr. Douglas Frank, and he works with Mike Lindell, and he's going to give a presentation then. So what we're working on here is trying to establish a value in the vote, the integrity of people getting out. You spoke on it just a little bit. I think you were getting at breaking the system. If we can get all these folks to get out and turn out to vote, we can break the system, kind of like what Trump did. The numbers were just coming in droves, and by 10 o'clock they had to shut it down because they were breaking the system. And here in Randall County, we have about 93,000 registered voters. And so per precinct, if we can do a good canvass, we can break the system. We can break the system. And so I'm going to talk to some of our commissioners and see if they can implement a program to where we have just one count from each polling place, and I think that'll prevent the harvesting hour by hour, because the news, they'll put out that number and they're kind of telling these crooked individuals how many more they need to pull out of these these boxes and whatnot. So here we kind of take for granted, they say that we're the reddest counties in the state or whatnot, but what we need to do with that is build on that and help other counties, help folks across the state, so they can help offset some of those numbers. And I can't stand that term, let's keep it red. I'm kind of like you. I say let's be conservative, because let's keep it red just tells me anymore let's keep it establishment. You know what I mean? So
well, to me that's the gaslighting signal, and what'll happen after the primary, if they've got enough money and you get the Briscoe Caines and Andrew Murs of now to go into the November general, they got to convince us all that, you just absolutely cannot have Democrats. And yet really the circus down in Austin is brought to you by 60 Republicans, which includes our very own here in this district, Andrew Murr and Dade Phelan out of, I think he's out of East Texas somewhere. Was any of your representatives in the mix that voted to impeach? Do you know?
No, we have Ronnie Jackson here.
Okay.
He's a great congressman, and he's doing great things. We just have recently elected Kevin Sparks, and neither one of them were involved in any of those debacles.
Yeah. Well, look, Alex, I won't want to keep you too long. I want to thank you for jumping on here, and we'll be talking again, because you and I have that endeavor of trying to move a large swath of Christian men and women included, but we're calling out the men to step out, because it's time to lead. We've just absolutely have decided that everybody else can run the politics, and we're on the brink of World War III. And so, Alex, we'll talk soon again. I can't thank you enough for just a short 20 minutes you were on here, but
you're welcome.
You're welcome to come back anytime. And let us know do you have a website everybody can go to, or your Facebook page?
Yes, our website's conservativesoftexas.org. And I'll share it with you, and then you maybe could put it on here
Okay.
and share it with folks. I thank you for giving me some time. God
All
bless.
right, Alex. God bless you, and we'll see you next time. Okay, buddy.
Yes, sir. Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you. All right, folks, there you have it. Two Patriots. Bianca is getting on an airplane somewhere back to Houston, so she's not going to make it. We're going to end it up here in about 5 minutes, but just real quick, I want to reiterate what our goal here with this podcast is. Sure, we're going to have some guests and we're going to talk politics, but the end result here is I feel the need to move Christian men and women to get off your butts and start saving not just America, but it starts right here in your local communities and Texas. Because if we don't, you're going to get the circus that is in Austin right now, while we lose homes because the elderly cannot afford to pay the taxes that are going up on their homes. I think of places like Uvalde, down there in Brownsville, Del Rio, Monahans. Some of these places are impoverished. Even though there's jobs there, it's still an impoverished area of Texas. So when you don't fix taxes, you don't fix the border, and there's absolutely no need to fix a lot of the things that local Texans need, but you're out there impeaching Ken Paxton. You don't have to like Ken Paxton. You can believe he's even guilty if you want to, but we have better things to do. Democrats would never do this to themselves. And if I ever hear anybody tell me that I've gone negative when I'm exposing the truth, you just need to get off my podcast because we don't want you on here because you're probably one of those weakling people that just absolutely can't stand the truth. And that is exactly what's gotten us into trouble. So we're not going to be mean here. We're not going to be super cursy or anything like that, but we are going to speak the truth and with passion because it is time. And to all our pastor friends out there, you can no longer be on the pulpit and just pretend like nothing around and outside the church is happening and you can't do anything about it. It's time to challenge the Johnson Amendment, and nobody has ever been prosecuted on that. It's time to step out and tell Christians we need to take America back. I really believe God gave us this country because the founding fathers, whether people want to erase history or not, it's in our dollar bills. In God we trust. It's in all the halls and the buildings in Washington, D.C., because they can't take them down. They've been etched in stone for years that God is at the forefront of this country. Well, we've slowly slipped away from that. And guess what? We're paying hell for it because they're indoctrinating our kids. They are trying to change their sexual orientation. They're still wanting to abort babies. They're selling baby parts. There's children coming across this border. We can't track who they are. So the notion, and because I live right here in Medina County, just near the border, and originally from Valverde County in Del Rio. So for the notion that I can't talk about our representatives because they're Republicans and we need to keep them for next year, for what? To do absolutely nothing is no longer an option for me. And I've gotten a lot of calls. You heard Frank there. He's potentially going to jump into the race in CD23. I don't know when. I don't know if. All I know that he's did an exploratory. There's a few other people out there. But you're going to have to say something. If you want us in to take more action beyond the podcasting and informing people, you're going to have to say something. But you're going to have to write checks to guys like Frank or anybody else who's in the race. By the way, there's Julie Clark is in the race, Avila, and some other gentleman named Ezekiel. I don't know what his name because he's low profile. And then Brandon Herrera, who's also in the race. And so I don't really think, and I'm going to step into CD23 for a second. I really don't think Tony Gonzalez can win in Congressional District 23, but we're going to need another one or two candidates in there because it's all about a tactic. And guess what? You can do this across the board. Though, if one of those 60 representatives was your representative that decided to impeach Ken Paxton, get after it. Go out there and throw your name in the hat. You're going to have to get uncomfortable economically because it's going to happen anyway. We're going to lose our houses. We're not going to be able to pay for gas. It's going out the window. Groceries are so expensive, it's ridiculous. And the poor are getting poorer, and the rest of us are getting even more economically into the doldrums. It's not, we're not in a good spot here, folks. And here's the worst part. I said it earlier, but Ukraine is going to be the reason we end up launching nuclear weapons with Russia, because we've pressured Russia into the hands of China. And you need to look up BRICS and VRICS, BRICS and VRICS. This is a combination of Venezuela, China, Russia, all of them integrating in different parts of the world to take out the dollar and replace it with their monetary values. So we're not in a very good spot. And then you look at Joe Biden, who I believe is really sick, but nobody is saying anything. Look at Mitch McConnell freezing in front of the the his little talking space there, and you have to ask yourself, at what age do we stop listening to these people? These are 80 plus. Feinstein, Dianne Feinstein, out of California. She's 90 years old, withering away, but she will not resign her position. And my mother used to say in Spanish, El diablo cuida los de él, meaning that the devil takes care of his own. So as long as they're doing his deed, they're going to live for a long time, and we have to deal with it. Well, you need to get out your Bibles and start praying. You need to talk to your pastors. You need to start talking to the congregations, and you need to start moving people in the right direction. You can come to this platform here. The goal is to be here every Thursday. We may move this to Tuesdays. We may go twice a week, but the bottom line is, for the next 4 or 5 months, my goal is to get about 2,000 people in Congressional 23 to make a difference and get somebody into the runoff against Tony Gonzalez, or just flat out beat him. But guess what? In Del Rio, Gabino and Aldo and a few other friends of mine, they're looking to affect their elections there as well. And we're going to go work there. And we're going to go work in Eagle Pass. We're going to go work in Uvalde. And I'm looking at my trusty sidekick here and saying, we need everybody from the Uvalde estates in Uvalde, Texas, to get off your asses and come talk to us, or let us know when we can meet. We're going to make the rounds to all the cities that they want us to be at, because I want to meet you. We want to talk to you, and we want to move 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 people. When we show up to the Austin, Texas legislative body, we will show up with 50,000 people signed up that says, if you don't do what we tell you to, we will vote you out in numbers. And there's not enough money in the world that the Texas lawsuit reform can give you, because we have more people that are going to come out and vote against you. We will pressure these people. But to do that, I need your help. I need you to share this part to everybody. Get on my comments down here and start saying something. Tell me you want to do anything. And by the way, for all of you shy guys that want to do something but don't know how, call me. You don't have to do much. You just have to pledge that you're willing to follow our way and our movement to get the right people elected. If you're tired of the judge out in the county of Valverde or anywhere else in West Texas or the county of Bexar County, you're going to have to do something. You just can't sit here and do nothing. You can listen to me rant all you want to. I'm only asking for one thing. Send me a message. Send me your phone number. I'll call you. It'll stay private. We're not going to sell your information. I will meet with you. I will meet with your families. I will meet with anybody you want. But we need to start growing the numbers. We're at about 600 people right now. We're going to need about 2,000 or 3,000 to make a difference in March of 2024. Not just Congressional District 23, folks. This is the counties of Uvalde, Valverde, all the way to Ward, all the way to El Paso, all the way up to Texarkana. But we're going to start here local. And to do that, I need your help. So God bless you. I want to thank you for listening in. We're about a couple of minutes over time. Glad to have Frank and Alex on here. Look those guys up. Alex is in Amarillo. So if you're listening from Amarillo, go talk to that guy. If you're in Del Rio, let me know, and I'll hook you up with Gabino or Aldo out there. Uvalde, we've got some contacts there. And Eagle Pass, we do as well. And a bunch of little cities. If you live somewhere and you just want to be the contact at that place, let me know. I need your help. You can't sit on your ass and do nothing. I'm not asking you to spend your money. I'm not asking you to vote one way just yet. I just need you to tell me you're in to move this thing our way and fight the big money, or we're going to lose Texas. And that's the message for tonight. I want to thank everybody who's listening. I'm glad everybody had boy, it was hot. It was hot, and it's going to be hot, I think, through the rest of September. Is that correct? It's just going to be blazing hot. All the creeks are drying up. I don't think, and I don't believe that that's not without reason. Rain and droughts come because God is trying to send us a message. And for anybody who knows me, I'm not really and I don't mean to insult anybody. I'm not a real holy roller, but I do read the words in red. And when we get cross-sided with that guy, he's gonna step back, and all hell will break loose on this earth. So we can't do that anymore. I want to thank my pastor for listening in. I know you're listening. I thank you for that. And but we've got to start talking to other pastors across the board. Help us get there. And I'm not just talking to him. I'm talking to anybody who's listening to this. Let's get together in large numbers and do something. Next week, I'm going to set up a platform, an easy way for you to do that. Today, just send me a private message if you want, or send me a comments, and I'll get a hold of you. Other than that, everybody have yourselves a wonderful Texas evening. We're going to see you here probably next Tuesday, as I'm going to bump it up to Tuesday, and if it works well, we're going to go twice a week. So all that said, thanks for our guests for showing up. Bianca, you owe me a visit. Anybody else who wants to come and talk local politics in your cities, I'm inviting you to get on this platform. I want to know what's happening in Utopia. I want to know what's happening in Kerrville. I want to know what's happening down there in beautiful Kinney County, because they're having a mess with the invasion down there. Somebody get a hold of Brad Coe, the sheriff. He wants to talk. I'll be happy to do that with Brent Smith as well. We're not running for anything. We're trying to affect elections, and we're going to do it right here. God bless everybody. I hope you guys have a wonderful night as we hit the final buttons to get out of here. God bless you, and all glory to God. Amen.